Chapter 3076. Illusionary God True Inheritance. Oh right, how did you defeat Gu Mingjun? You don't seem to have any world energy. The middle-aged man asked curiously. Lin Ling smiled. The middle-aged man was only a late martial immortal. Naturally, he couldn't see through Lin Ling. If Lin Ling wanted to hide his cultivation, no one would be able to see through him, unless they were a late half-sage, or a sage. He had 4 dantians, and he could use them at will. He could even hide his 4 dantians. Physical strength, Lin Ling explained. How is that possible? Physical strength is an unorthodox path. How can it defeat world energy? Hearing that, the 3 Qi family members were shocked. There are many ways in the universe. What is impossible? Also, don't forget that soul martial arts are also looked down upon in the illusionary god sect. However, do you also think that soul martial arts are an unorthodox path? Lin Ling said indifferently. His tone was calm. However, at that moment, he had the demeanor of an expert. It was as if he was a saint who was giving guidance to these mortals. However, his words stunned the 3 of them. Thinking about it carefully, that was indeed the case. Physical strength was not valued by the current martial artists. However, wasn't it the same for soul martial arts? Therefore, if they doubted Lin Ling's physical strength, wouldn't they be doubting their own soul martial arts? Thank you for your advice. The middle-aged man quickly cupped his hands and said. His attitude shocked the Qi family siblings. Only Lin Ling could be treated so politely by their father. It's fine. If there's a chance, I'll do my best to teach you. However, Lin Ling's voice also sounded. The Qi family siblings were dumbfounded. This guy was really shameless. Haha. The middle-aged man didn't expect Lin Ling to be so shameless. He couldn't help but laugh. I'm Qi Shi. May I know your name? Just call me Junior Brother Lin. After all, I'm the last to join this faction. Lin Ling said casually. Junior Brother Lin. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded. That night, Lin Ling stayed in the illusionary god sect. Qi Shi was also very generous. He directly gave Lin Ling 3 sets of soul martial arts. Furthermore, they were all foundational martial arts. Of course, Lin Ling also knew the reason. It was because of the decline of soul martial arts that Qi Shi was so generous. If soul martial arts dominated the spirit province, no one would be willing to hand over their soul martial arts so easily. As for soul martial arts, Leslie learned a lot, but they were mostly world spirit formation Dao. As for Lin Ling, he had cultivated a few of them before, but they were only effective in the 10,000 realms. In the 9 prefectures, their power was suppressed several times. Therefore, Lin Ling was extremely curious about the illusory god sect's soul martial arts. After all, this was a treasure left behind by the gods' era. Of course, Lin Lin's swords Weiss. To Lin say, to Li Lin to Art Li to Immortal Li to. And God. Sword light blossomed from the sword, as if it had heard Lin Ling's words. It was extremely excited. There were 18 swords. Only by gathering all of them could the divine sword unleash its full power. However, the rest of the swords were probably with martial god Qilin. Thus, Lin Ling couldn't do anything about it. Thinking about the scabbard, Lin Ling smiled bitterly. Right now, he had a lot of swords to collect. Lin Ling then took out a voice transmission talisman to contact Yu Yu and the rest. Brother Ling, where are you? Yu Yu, I'm fine. I'm in the spirit province. That's good. Where are you? Senior Xing Xian has been looking for you. He doesn't need to come over for now. I'll return in about 3 months. Considering the size of the tantric sect, Lin Ling didn't know what kind of impact it would bring if Xing Xiaoyan came. Therefore, before he obtained the illusion god sect's soul martial arts, he didn't plan on doing anything shocking. 7 Saints illusionary god technique. Lin Ling then took out the soul martial arts that Qi Shi had given him, and began to comprehend it. As he comprehended it, a smile appeared on his face. The soul martial arts that the illusionary god had left behind were indeed extraordinary. Even though it was just the basics, it was still very beneficial. Time passed by quietly. On this day, Lin Ling returned the martial arts to Qi Shi. Qi Shi was surprised. Junior Brother Lin, you've succeeded in cultivating it? It's been a month. If I hadn't succeeded in cultivating it, then I wouldn't be qualified to cultivate this soul martial arts. Lin Ling shook his head. He felt that he had wasted a lot of time. Hearing this, Qi sure was stunned. In the past, his master had taught him the foundational martial arts for a year. As for the Qi siblings, their eyes were red with envy. This was because one of them had taken 3 years, while the other had taken 5 years. What's wrong? Have you been cultivating it for too long? Senior brother Qi, if there's anything you can teach me, you can teach me. You don't have to give me any face. I've always known that. Lin Ling said solemnly when he saw the changes in their expressions. Although the 3 of them were not as strong as him, they were more familiar with other areas than him. Therefore, Lin Ling could humbly ask for advice. Hearing this, the 3 of them looked at each other, and their bitter smiles deepened. No, not at all. You can finish your apprenticeship now. You've cultivated the illusionary god's true inheritance. The father and son continued to talk. Qiyu's eyes were red. She was on the verge of crying as she said, "How can you cultivate so fast? I used 5 years back then. It's so unfair. You can even be my master." Lin Ling was speechless when he saw this. By the way, all the sects in the south of the spirit state will gather and head to the 10 major sects for a martial arts exchange. We have to set off immediately. Oh, which sect is holding the martial arts exchange? I heard that the masterminds are the fairy sect and the divine crane sect. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. The fairy sect? The 10 major sects of Tantric Buddhism? He could not help but think of Longyang in the past and laughed bitterly. He hoped that he would not meet any acquaintances who would interrupt his enlightenment of the soul martial arts technique. However, to avoid trouble, he had better find an excuse to decline. I'll teach you the illusion god true inheritance when we come back. However, just as Lin Ling was about to decline, Qi Shi spoke up as well. This time, Lin Ling could not refuse. 2 hours later, the illusion god sect's people flew forward on the giant white-feathered ancient goose. Everyone on the white goose was in high spirits. I heard that the top beauty of the fairy sect will also come to this martial arts exchange. Is it Longyang? I hope to see her this time, even from afar. Of course, fate is the most difficult thing to determine. Maybe she'll fall for me. Even looking at her is blasphemy to Longyang. She's a genius of the Tantric Buddhism. Who do you think you are? You can't even enter the 10 major sects, let alone be chosen by Longyang. None of your business. I know you're jealous of me. Chapter 3077. All the sects in the south of the spirit province gathered. I also heard that Longyang almost got together with a genius from the Tantric sect, but that genius rejected Longyang. TSK, what a big deal. Wow, that guy is really daring. A genius like Longyang. I would die from happiness if she looked at me. But that guy actually dared to reject her. That's nothing. He's the disciple of the 4 heavenly kings of the Tantric sect, so he has the right to do so. Moreover, he defeated all the geniuses from the 10 great sects during the last Tantric sect ceremony, so he has the right to do so. Wow, you're saying that he's amazing. Could it be that you were there? Wow, I don't have the right to go to the Tantric sect. I only heard about it, and I know that his name is Lin Ling. He's one of the geniuses I admire the most. Wow. On the other side, another disciple changed the topic and talked about the Tantric sect. When this was mentioned, the geniuses became even more excited. To them, geniuses of the same age were the ones they paid attention to the most. The disciple of the 4 heavenly kings, Lin Ling. I heard that he's very strong and is one of the most talented geniuses in the Tantric sect. Wow. I really hope to see him. Wow. Even the Qi siblings were looking forward to seeing him. Sister, stop daydreaming. How can you see a genius of that level? Even if you see a genius from the 10 great sects, that's your fortune, not to mention a genius from the Tantric sect. Qi Yang saw his sister's eyes shining and could not help but persuade her. I know. Sigh. Qi sighed. As for Lin Ling, he was still comprehending the soul martial arts, but he also opened his eyes and looked at Qiyu strangely. In the end, he shook his head and continued to cultivate. In the distance, a few gazes were staring at Lin Ling with ill intentions. One of them was Gu Mingjun. Is that the guy who injured you? He has no energy fluctuations and cultivates a soul martial arts. He's simply too weak. Sigh. Senior martial brother, I was careless at that time. However, let bygones be bygones. My current goal is the 10 great sects, so I don't care about those ordinary people. They don't understand the heart of a mighty eagle. Junior apprentice Brother Gu is right. He cultivates soul martial arts, and can only be like this for the rest of his life. He's just a piece of trash. There's no need to care about him. The others nodded in agreement. In fact, it was because of the sect leader that they did not dare to attack Lin Ling. They were not as magnanimous as they said. However, I happen to know some geniuses in the martial arts exchange, held by the 10 great sections. At that time, I can let him know how lowly he is. No way, you know the geniuses of the 10 great sects. Of course, you'll know how powerful I am in a moment. When he mentioned the geniuses of the 10 great sects, Gu Mingjuan's voice became much louder. At this moment, all the youths on the giant white goose cast envious gazes at Gu Mingjun. Gu Mingjun will enter the top 10 sects sooner or later, so it's not strange that he knows the geniuses there. Sigh, when we first entered the illusionary god sect, we promised to explore the spirit province together. Today he's flying high, but I'm still stuck on the streets. Don't be envious. Right now it's better to curry favor with senior martial brother Gu. The youths began to whisper. Although their voices were not loud, Gu Mingjun could hear them clearly. This made him smile faintly and stare at Lin Ling. He wanted to see Lin Ling's strange expression. However, Lin Ling did not seem to hear them, and continued to meditate like an old monk. On the other hand, the Qi siblings revealed envious expressions. This made Gu Mingjun smile with a hint of pride. Not far from him, a good-looking girl looked at Gu Mingjun with a hint of passion. Then her gaze fell on Qi Yang, and she let out a long sigh. Her name was Yimengrua, and she was the daughter of the illusionary god sect leader. Originally, she and Qi Yang were childhood sweethearts, and their relationship was very good. However, Qi Yang gradually declined over the years. In addition, her father reminded her that Gu Mingjun was more suitable for him. At first, she did not care and believed that Qi Yang could rise up. But now, she began to doubt her own beliefs. The loud and clear cry of a wild goose floated in the sky and finally landed on the plains. Upon closer inspection, a large number of people had already gathered on the plains. Many banners were raised high. They were actually the other sects of the spirit province. Today, 2 of the 10 great sects were having a martial arts exchange. There were many people who gave them face. Many people wished that they had the qualifications to come. Unfortunately, not every sect and every disciple had the qualifications to come. Line up and do not make a racket. Enter the Cold Moon Divine Palace. If anyone breaks the rules, not only will they be removed from their sect, they will also be kicked out. A crystal-like palace sat on the ground. In front of the gate, several youths spoke indifferently. Upon closer inspection, these people's strength were all in the martial immortal realm. This caused the disciples of the various sects to be in awe. They did not dare to speak and obediently lined up. Although these people were extremely arrogant, they were the genius disciples of the 10 great sects. So they had the qualifications. Senior brother Lu, it's me. The illusionary god sect was also lining up. Gu Mingjun suddenly shouted in a low voice. His voice was not loud, but it instantly attracted countless gazes. This caused many people to frown. Was this person looking to die? They already said not to make a racket, but he actually shouted. Oh, it's you, Gu Mingjun. However, among the geniuses guarding the gate, one of them smiled faintly and did not blame Gu Mingjun. It's me. Yes. Gu Mingjun's body immediately trembled, and he was incomparably proud. The geniuses nodded and did not speak any more nonsense. Even so, Gu Mingjun's actions still caused the disciples of the various sects to be extremely envious. Gu Mingjun has not entered the 10 great sects, but he already has a bit of fame. This person is very powerful. The scene in front of him immediately made Qi Yang frown. Previously, when someone was lining up, he was absent-minded, and then I saw him being kicked out. He even almost implicated his own sect. It's good that Gu Mingjun knows the geniuses of the 10 great sects. It's much more convenient for him to do anything. Qi Yu said with a light sigh. Her words were filled with envy. I heard Father say that Gu Mingjun has been chosen by the 10 great sects and has temporarily become a nominal disciple. So those geniuses give him face and even want to treat him as a friend. At this time, a cold voice came from the side. It was Yimeng Rua. Hearing this, the Qi siblings sighed, especially Qi Yang. Although he looked calm on the surface, his fists were secretly clenched in his sleeves. Not long after, it was finally the illusionary god sect's turn to enter the palace. Greetings, sirs. The sect master smiled at the geniuses. However, the geniuses also gave him some face and warned him a few times. Although it was only a few words and their attitudes were arrogant, it still made the sect master happy. This was because the other party had at least spoken to him. As for disciples, they were too lazy to even speak. Gu Mingjun, after you enter, if you have time, come and talk to me. Chapter 3078. Yun Shangqing among the crowd. Gu Mingjun nodded excitedly. Of course. TSK. Senior brother Gu is the second person other than the sect master to make these geniuses speak. Hehe. I saw that the other sects didn't receive such treatment, but our illusionary god sect did. We've gained a lot of face. That's right. Look at the people behind and in front of the line. They're all envious. The illusionary god sect disciples' faces were filled with pride as they entered the palace. What are you doing? Junior brother Lin, hurry up and greet him. But not long after, an exclamation rang out, causing the expressions of the illusion god sect members to change. Only now did they realize that it was junior brother Lin's turn to enter the group. However, junior brother Lin's eyes were half closed. He didn't bow, nor did he look at the geniuses. He seemed to be comprehending something. Of course, it didn't matter where he cultivated, but not here. At this moment, the illusionary god sect disciples became nervous. Junior brother Qi, why don't you think highly of him? The sect master secretly complained. If they angered these geniuses, their sect would be kicked out. That would be a huge loss of face. This junior brother Lin is really incapable of accomplishing anything, but good at spoiling things. Among the crowd, Gu Mingjun also complained. After he spoke, he looked at the geniuses, only to see that their faces were extremely cold. It seemed that even if Gu Mingjun stepped forward, it would be difficult to quell the anger of these geniuses. Who interrupted me? At this moment, Lin Ling finally opened his eyes, and a slightly unhappy voice rang out. Damn it, this guy is still speaking with such an attitude. It's over. The illusionary god sect disciples helplessly slapped their foreheads. They knew that a disaster was coming. You. Gu Mingjun pointed at Lin Ling. He didn't know what to say. Perhaps the next thing he could do was to witness the entire sect being kicked out. Your illusionary god sect. Sure enough, the geniuses coldly said. They were sentencing the illusionary god sect to death. What about our illusionary god sect? However, before they could finish speaking, Lin Ling's gaze turned cold as he stared at the geniuses without any fear. This gaze caused the hearts of those geniuses to tremble subconsciously. Plus, this was the first time they were looking at Lin Ling. The more they looked, the more their hearts roared. Go in. Finally, one of the geniuses spoke with a hint of reverence. Silence. The entire entrance of the palace fell into a deathly silence. These arrogant geniuses actually didn't punish junior brother Lin? Could it be that these arrogant geniuses had a conscience and didn't intend to teach the ants in front of them a lesson? It's better not to cultivate in a place like this. If you're interrupted, it's easy to go berserk. The sect leader of the illusionary god sect looked at the map in his hand with a helpless expression. It can't be right? This palace has many enchantments, and there are some good residences. Cultivating there will be twice the result with half the effort. In fact, I'll be frank with you. I'm participating in this martial arts exchange for a good place to cultivate. Now you're assigning us to the stables? This is ridiculous. The elders of the illusionary god sect were in disbelief. This is the stables of Pegasi, spiritual beasts. They're not ordinary horses, so please bear with it. The sect leader smiled bitterly again. Hearing this, the elders were dissatisfied, but there was nothing they could do. They could only smile bitterly. Sect leader, the genius giving out accommodations is called Yun Shangqing. I know him. But at this moment, a calm voice suddenly sounded. It was Gu Mingjun. Yin Shangqing? Could it be that Yin Shangqing, who lost to the #1 sect of the 10 great sects during the Tantric sect's great ceremony? The sect leader exclaimed. Chapter 3079. Shameless. Gu Mingjun nodded his head. Most importantly, he's a disciple of the Tianqing sect, one of the 10 great sects. However, I've met him a few times. If I ask him, he might give me some face. Gu Mingjun, we'll leave it to you. Hearing this, the sect leader and the elders were delighted. I'll do my best. Hearing this, Gu Mingjun nodded his head and walked out. He was neither arrogant nor humble, but rather imposing. Gu Mingjun represents the future of our illusionary god sect. Seeing this, the illusionary god sect's disciples admired Gu Mingjun even more. Even the sect leader was the same. TSK, our illusionary god sect has Gu Mingjun. It's our fortune. The illusionary god sect's disciples were proud. Only the 3 sons of the Qi family were gloomy, especially Qi Yang. He had been Gu Mingjun's competitor since young, but now, he had been eliminated. It won't be long before I catch up to him. However, Qi Yang wouldn't admit defeat so easily. He secretly clenched his fist and said, Sai, you've said this many times. Sometimes, the path of martial arts doesn't depend on one's mouth. Beside him, Yimingrua, Qi Yang's childhood sweetheart, sighed. Her words made Qi Yang extremely embarrassed. At this moment, Lin Ling was no longer cultivating. He looked at the scene and shook his head. He could see that Qi Yang liked Yimingrua a lot. But Yimingrua seemed to have a change of heart. Senior brother Yin, it's me. At this moment, Gu Mingjun had already walked forward. The youth glanced at him and nodded his head. What's wrong? Is there something important? Although his attitude was still arrogant, he at least gave Gu Mingjun face. He knew that Gu Mingjun would definitely enter one of the 10 great sects. It's like this. Gu Mingjun immediately requested. So it's such a small matter. How about this? I'll help your sect rearrange your residence. This palace has 5 different levels of barriers. You're not qualified to go to the first level. Only the 10 great sects can go there. I'll arrange for you to stay in the second level. How about it? Yin Shangqing smiled. Okay. Although it was second class, it showed that the other party had given him enough face, so Gu Mingjun hurriedly nodded. Without any suspense, the people of the illusionary god sect became excited. The people from the other sects were extremely envious. Gu Mingjun, have you decided which sect you want to join? Your future is bound to be extraordinary. So have you considered joining our sect? Yin Shangqing said again, causing Gu Mingjun to hurriedly bow. No. In front of senior martial brother Yin, junior martial brother will forever be the light of a firefly. You really know how to talk. However, I am optimistic about your future. Tonight, I will be the host for a banquet. All of your sects can come. Moreover, all the other sects can participate. Yin Shangqing smiled, waved his hand and left. Thank you, senior brother Yin. Chapter 3080. Looking for senior brother Lin. Lin Ling was also dragged away. He lazily followed behind and continued to cultivate. This caused the Qi siblings' hearts to sink. No wonder Lin Ling's comprehension of soul martial arts was so fast. It turned out that he had been cultivating all the time. Such diligence, how could they not admire him? Following the direction pointed out, they finally arrived at their destination. It was a luxurious hall. The spirit energy was dense, and hundreds of flowers bloomed. Before they even got close, flattering voices rang out. Little friend Yin, you're young and promising. Look at me. The future of the spirit state is also on your shoulders. The vast hall was packed with people. All the sects of the spirit province were gathered, and they were all looking at the spirited young man at the head of the table. Haha, you're exaggerating. In the Tantric sect, I'm not the strongest. If we're talking about a peerless genius, then it's still Lord Xingxiu Yun's disciple Lin Ling. At the head of the table, Yin Shangqing had the aura of a superior as he spoke indifferently. I've never heard of the name Lin Ling. Why don't little friend Yin tell us what's so great about Lin Ling? After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, someone curiously asked. Yin Shangqing drank a mouthful of wine, and his arrogant expression quietly disappeared. turning into worship. This senior brother Lin came from the Qing province. Originally, the geniuses of the 10 great sects looked down on him. But who knew that in the Tantric sect's great ceremony, he defeated senior brother Beihan in one move. As for senior brother Beihan's strength, there's no need for me to say more. 60% of the sect leaders here aren't his match. Moreover, senior brother Lin is a powerful spirit formation master. I heard that he broke the universal spirit formation with an ancient tree in the Tantric sect, creating a record. Of course, the most amazing part is the latter part. Yun Shangqing's voice became louder and louder, causing the hall to become silent. So powerful. Even the geniuses of the 10 great sects aren't senior brother Lin's match? The members of the Illusion God sect were whispering to each other. Imungrua had been sitting there for a long time. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she looked forward to meeting the legendary senior brother Lin. However, she suddenly froze. Senior brother Lin of the Tantric sect? Then her junior brother Lin of the Fantasy God sect? One called him senior brother, and the other called him junior brother. Could they be the same person? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but laugh at herself. One was an eagle flying in the sky, the other was a toad on the ground. They weren't on the same level at all. Senior martial brother Yin, quickly tell me what's the most powerful thing about you. At this moment, Gu Mingjun asked anxiously. Seeing this, everyone in the hall immediately became nervous. They wondered what the legendary senior brother Lin looked like. This is Lin. Yun Shangqing could see that everyone was nervous. He waved his hand and was about to draw a portrait. However, at this moment, a few figures walked in from the door. One of them stunned him. Lin Lin Lin. He couldn't say the last two words, senior brother. No matter what, he could only stare at the blue-robed young man who walked in. Everyone in the hall was furious that they had been interrupted at such a crucial moment. This made them stare at Lin Ling and the others. However, since senior brother Yin didn't flare up, they didn't dare to reprimand Lin Ling and the others. Instead, they used their gazes to urge Lin Ling and the others to hurry up and take their seats. Wow, we seem to be late. Hurry up and go to the illusionary sect. The three from the Qi family quickened their pace and smiled awkwardly. They even cupped their fists and bowed. Only Lin Ling had his hands behind his back and a lazy look on his face. This made everyone's eyes spit fire. If not for senior brother Yun's magnanimity, he would have already taught this unknown trash a lesson. In fact, Yun Shangqing stared at Lin Ling so hard that his eyes almost popped out. He was sizing up Lin Ling, afraid that he had seen wrongly. In the end, he confirmed that this was the terrifying genius of the Tantric sect, Lin Ling. Senior brother, we're late. At this moment, Qi Shi apologized to the sect leader of the illusionary sect. The sect leader smiled bitterly and said helplessly, It's good that you're here. Hurry up and sit down. Qi Shi and the other two smiled apologetically again. Seeing that the situation was too awkward, they asked, What were you talking about? We were talking about an important figure in the Tantric sect, senior brother Lin. This person's strength is extraordinary, and his talent is outstanding. With just a move of his leg, ordinary people like us have to retreat. The sect leader said, He's that powerful. Could he be an ancient senior? Do you really think that you're that important? Let me tell you, I've seen many experts of the Tantric sect. I also know that senior brother Gu Mingjun once saved a genius of the Tantric sect. You can't compare to them. Humph. Imungrua coldly snorted and said. The disdain in her eyes deepened. Lin Ling didn't waste any words. His faint laughter spread throughout the bamboo forest. One leaf blinds one's eyes, one can't see Mount Tai. Two beans cover one's ears, one can't hear thunder. Pa! This sentence was obviously mocking Imungrua for being short-sighted and ignorant. This undoubtedly made Imungrua clench her teeth in anger. How boring! Pa! After leaving the bamboo forest, Lin Ling walked forward slowly. At the same time, he thought of Yu and the others. However, the illusion god's true inheritance was right in front of him. He didn't lack time. The people in the hall had already left, so Lin Ling returned to his original residence. However, there were already a few geniuses there. They were extremely polite to the three people from the Qi family. Seniors, please follow me. Senior brother Yin has instructed you to stay in the first-class residence. Pa, we're going to the first-class residence. This must be fake. Pa, the three people from the Qi family were obviously very flattered. It was said that the first-class residence had many kinds of barriers. Cultivating there would be twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, no one from the major sects was qualified to stay there. Only the people from the 10 great sects were qualified to stay there. Therefore, it was no wonder that they didn't believe it. It's true. Seniors, you only need to follow us, and then you'll know everything. Pa! The geniuses bowed and saluted, as if they were afraid that the three people from the Qi family didn't believe them. Father, what should we do? Yes. Seeing that the other party didn't seem to be joking, Qi Yu suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Perhaps the people they want to invite aren't us. There must be some misunderstanding. It's better to be careful. Yes. However, Qi Shi was relatively calm. He was clear about his own abilities. It's okay. Let's go with them. Yes. They almost sent all of their forces to the Green State to find Lin Ling. After that, Lin Ling suddenly sent a message to everyone and told them that he had returned to the spirit state. Only then did the Tantric sect stop their plan. Ah, the Tantric sect reacted so strongly. What do you think? Lin Ling is the disciple of one of the 4 heavenly kings. In the spirit state, he's only below the Tantric sect's lord and the 4 heavenly kings. Father, what do we do now? At least you didn't ruin the plan. Inform the Tantric sect about this. I think Lin Ling isn't a petty person. He probably won't blame you. On the contrary, you've made a great contribution to the Tantric sect. It's possible that you'll become a genius of the Tantric sect. That's great. Senior brother Lin is my savior. After talking for a while, Yin Shangqing was extremely excited. You'd better build a good relationship with Lin Ling. In time, you'll be able to do whatever you want in the spirit state. At least half of the spirit state won't dare to provoke you. Yes, father. The father and son talked in secret. They were afraid that the news would spread, and the credit would be taken away by others. However, the more they talked, the more excited they became. At this moment, Lin Ling followed the group and arrived at the residence of the first-class barrier. Here, the immortal aura was ethereal, and the spiritual energy was extremely dense. Spiritual flowers and herbs were everywhere, making one feel as if they had arrived in a paradise. So this is the first-class barrier. It's really extraordinary. It's twice as good as the stable. It's not just twice as good. I can feel my soul power increasing too. It's 100 times better. Look at the free pills around. They're all priceless. Junior brother Lin, I've realized that your perception is truly terrifying. When I first obtained this jade slip, I was deceived for a full 100 years. Hearing this, Qi Shi smiled. Look up at the sky, then look at the jade slip again. All right. Lin Ling quickly retracted his gaze and looked up at the sky. His gaze then landed on the jade slip again. Suddenly, he found that the world within the jade slip had changed again. Countless Lin Lings had appeared, and they were all very lifelike. I understand now. Everything is an illusion, but it's also incomparably real. This is the true inheritance of the illusion god. Lin Ling's eyes suddenly lit up. Correct, the true inheritance of the illusion god can change the world. Even deities would find it difficult to see through it. Qi Shi's gaze also became heated. At this moment, his body emitted a proud aura. In the illusion god sect, everyone disdained soul martial arts. However, how could they know how terrifying the true inheritance of the illusion god was? Think about it. When the illusion god was used, the 9 prefectures world would appear. This would make the enemy unable to tell whether they were in an illusion or reality. In this way, no matter how strong they were, it would be useless. As expected of the illusion god's inheritance of one of the 100 great bloodlines, Lin Ling also sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that his persistence during this period of time had not been in vain. Although the true inheritance of the illusion god has been passed to you, whether or not you can use it to its peak will depend on you. Right, junior brother Lin? Can you tell me who you are? Qi Shi looked at Lin Ling and asked. Actually, you should have guessed it. All right. Lin Ling put away the jade slip and smiled. Now that he had obtained the true inheritance of the illusion god, it wasn't a big deal for Qi Shi to know his identity. Of course, Lin Ling didn't plan on hiding his identity from the beginning. He just didn't want to complicate matters. Actually, we have guessed it. Alright. At this moment, even the Qi family siblings walked over. Qi Yu seemed innocent, but her beautiful eyes revealed a light of wisdom. You should be Yin Shangqing's younger brother. Alright. Next, the three Qi family members spoke at the same time. Their words made Lin Ling dumbfounded. Yin Shangqing's attitude towards you is clearly different. Therefore, your relationship with him must not be shallow. Yes. And you're a man, so you're definitely not Yin Shangqing's girlfriend. Speculating a little more, we can easily guess that you should be his younger brother. Yes. That's right, junior brother Lin. The three of us seem to stand aloof from worldly affairs. But in reality, we're just hiding our sharpness. We're not idiots. Yes. The light of wisdom in the eyes of the three Qi family members became even more intense. Lin Ling was speechless. He couldn't help but explain. What qualifications does Lin Ling have to be my brother? In fact, I'm the senior brother Lin you speak of, which is Lin Ling. Yes. As soon as he finished speaking, the three Qi family members were stunned. However, just when Lin Ling thought that they understood the reality, Qi Shi suddenly said, I'm also one of the 4 heavenly kings of Tantra. Yes. Obviously, they didn't think that junior brother Lin was Lin Ling. Because what kind of big shot was Lin Ling? He only appeared in their dreams. In reality, they could only hear his name forever. Lin Ling didn't want to explain anything. When others didn't believe him, no matter how he explained, it was futile. That night, Lin Ling eagerly started cultivating the illusory god true inheritance. This illusion god true inheritance was also divided into different levels. The first level, within 100 meters, could transform into a real person. A real person was immortal and indestructible, unbound by the gods, and unable to enter the 6 realms of reincarnation. This was clearly much more powerful than the illusions he had seen in the past. Moreover, when the illusion god true inheritance was cultivated to the Mahayana realm, it could transform the entire universe. Moreover, the illusions seemed fake, but they seemed real. What a profound soul martial art. After cultivating for a while, Lin Ling said in shock. At this moment, he even suspected that the current 9 prefectures was an illusion. He even suspected that he was real. Perhaps all of this was an illusion. However, he, Lin Ling, was immersed in the illusion. Such a grand Tao cultivation method was indeed endlessly profound. For the entire night, Lin Ling comprehended the illusion god true inheritance, completely perfecting the first level. It was even more powerful than Qi Yang's cultivation. Although the latter's illusions couldn't be seen as real or fake, they could be blasted apart. This was a huge weakness. However, Lin Ling's wasn't. It was a true immortal and indestructible. With this soul technique, even if I meet an expert, I can escape unscathed. Lin Ling was ecstatic. Right now, he had powerful techniques in the 3 domains of essence, energy and spirit. Great solar calamity destroying bow, time and space divine steel, dragon bone, scabbard, mini kunlun. Chapter 3085. Not qualified. A night of cultivation passed quietly. The next day, as the sun hung high in the sky, the 3 members of the Qi clan hurriedly went to find Lin Ling to participate in today's martial arts exchange. The martial arts exchange this time was hosted by the geniuses of the top 10 sections. To the various sects, it was an extremely grand event. However, to the Tantric sect it was very ordinary. However, when everyone arrived at the vast square, they found that the atmosphere was obviously different. This was because many of the geniuses from the 10 great sects were sitting at the edge of the square. I heard that a big shot is coming today. Yeah, I'm not too sure either. But our sect leader is rushing over right now. Our sect leader is the same. Moreover, I know an expert in the Tantric sect. He sent me a voice transmission last night, saying that he had found senior brother Lin. He asked me if I was participating in the martial arts exchange, and if I had seen senior brother Lin. I've heard about this too. The geniuses of the 10 great sects who were arrogant in the past did not even dare to speak loudly at this moment. As for the people from the various sects, they were even more so. Each and every one of them was filled with fear and anticipation. Could it be that senior brother Lin was also coming to the martial arts exchange? Some of the better-looking girls were quietly swallowing pills and dressing up to make themselves look more attractive. They hoped that they would be able to win the favor of the genius of Tantra. Of course, if senior brother Lin thinks highly of me, that would be even better. Junior brother Lin, I heard that a big shot is coming. Senior brother Lin seems to be coming too. Didn't you say that senior brother Lin went missing? Beside Lin Ling, Chiyu asked suspiciously after she heard the news. Looks like our luck is pretty good. We're going to meet the strongest cultivators of the spirit state today. Qi didn't think too much about it. Instead, he was extremely excited. For example, Lin Ling was in Qingzhou and was suddenly going to meet Emperor Qing today. Therefore, he was naturally looking forward to meeting the man who was famous in the divine land, but had never met before. Lin Ling smiled and immediately guessed that Yin Shangqing must have informed the tantric sect. However, Lin Ling didn't mind. He was planning to leave anyway. Moreover, he guessed that Yu big brother and the others would also come. Your junior brother Lin? At this time, a gaze suddenly turned towards Lin Ling's direction. Among the geniuses from the 10 great sects, someone slowly walked over. Azure Sea Sect's Miss Monarch? Someone with sharp eyes recognized that prodigy. Although that person wasn't as famous as Yin Shangqing, he wasn't someone the great sects could provoke. He shouldn't know junior brother Lin. Why is he walking towards junior brother Lin? Seeing the other party's cold expression, Chi started to worry. That's right, I'm junior brother Lin. Who are you? Lin Ling also looked at the other party and smiled casually. Ignorant trash. Don't think that you can do whatever you want with senior brother Yun's protection. Senior brother? Wu isn't even afraid of senior brother Yun. At this moment, another person walked out from the illusionary god sect. It was Gu Mingjun. Many people guessed that the Mist Emperor had been invited by Gu Mingjun. That's right. Although senior brother Yin isn't to be underestimated, if we wanted to teach you a lesson, I don't think he would help us just to offend us. Another voice drifted out. It was also a genius from the 10 great sects. The entire square fell silent. All the geniuses were reprimanding junior brother Lin. Everyone felt bad for junior brother Lin. For senior brother Yun's sake, I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and apologize to Gu Mingjun, and I'll forgive you this time. The Mist Monarch stopped in front of Lin Ling. His long hair fluttered in the wind, making him look extraordinarily mighty. Lin Ling smiled. He originally wanted to use his strength, but when he thought of the tantric experts that were about to arrive, he was too lazy to do so. He said disdainfully, I don't know which sect you're from, but aren't you afraid that your sect master will slap your face for speaking to me like that? Furthermore, even if your sect master was here, he wouldn't dare to speak to me like that. As soon as Lin Ling's voice fell, the whole city was shocked. Even Gu Mingjuan's heart was pounding. Lin Ling offended a genius from the 10 great sections. That was already a huge disaster. In the end, Lin Ling even insulted the sect masters of the 10 great sections. Even a deity wouldn't be able to save junior brother Lin. You're too stubborn. You still won't bow your head in front of the 10 great sections. If they kill you, no one will plead for you. Even Imengruo was shaking her head, but her words were filled with schadenfreude. It's over. Yin Shangqing alone won't be able to save junior brother Lin. The three from the Qi family wanted nothing more than to shut Lin Ling's mouth and stop him from speaking nonsense. You're very brave. At that moment, the Miss Monarch was so angry that he laughed. He hadn't met such a stubborn junior in the various sects for a long time. Do you know that with your strength and identity, I can kill you with a single finger? His voice turned cold, letting everyone know that the Miss Monarch was about to explode. Seeing this, Qishir quietly took a step forward and pulled Lin Ling. Then, he quickly bowed to the Miss Monarch and said, He doesn't know how to speak. Please don't mind him. I'll teach him a lesson when we get back. Right now the big shots are coming. That's why I haven't done anything yet. Don't think that I don't dare to teach him a lesson. Hearing this, the Mist Monarch's tone wasn't as cold as before. However, tell him to keep a low profile. There are some people that he can't afford to offend. When we get back, if he offends anyone, he'll have to apologize himself. This made Qisha relax. He pulled Lin Ling and wanted to leave the crowd. You? However, Lin Ling stood there like a pine tree and couldn't be pulled away. You're not qualified. Hearing this, Qisha almost fainted from anger. He had finally made the Miss Monarch vent his anger. Who knew that Lin Ling's words would reignite the flame that had just been extinguished? Heavens, this guy's mouth. I really want to stuff it up. The sect leader of the Illusion God sect was also stunned. Veins popped out on his forehead. Junior brother Lin was very arrogant towards him in the Illusion God sect. He could tolerate it and pretend that he didn't see it. However, when it came to the geniuses of the 10 great sects, could junior brother Lin not be so arrogant? Hee. It's been a long time since I've seen such a death-seeking person. What if I were included? Would I be qualified? The Miss Monarch was obviously about to explode from anger. However, before he could speak, another genius from the 10 great sects spoke up. Obviously, he was also angry at Lin Ling for not knowing what was good for him. Not enough. However, Lin Ling shook his head. What if I were included? Another genius from the 10 great sects spoke up. Still not enough. Lin Ling didn't even look at that person as he spoke honestly. This time, the entire square became even more silent. To the other sects, a junior from the Illusionary God sect was going against the heavens. Even Gu Mingjun almost fell to the ground. He had invited a genius to teach Lin Ling a lesson, but now it seemed that he didn't even need to invite Lin Ling. Lin Ling would trample on all of them. Okay, what if I were included? At this time, a thunderous voice came from afar. A burly young man in the second layer of the half-step saint realm walked over in a grandiose manner. His appearance caused even the various sect leaders to feel extremely pressured. This was clearly a genius from the Tantric sect. Brother 2, you're back. Chapter 3086. A big shot has arrived. Gu Mingjun was lucky enough to meet a dying young man in a secret realm in the Spirit Province. He saw how powerful the young man was, so he tried his best to save him. In the end, the young man recovered from his injuries and called him brother. Later on, he found out that the young man was a genius of the Tantric sect. He was on the same level as the legendary junior brother Lin. Of course, he wasn't as important as the latter. At that time, he knew that he had hooked up with someone powerful. Therefore, when he knew that brother 2 had returned from the Cloud Province, he immediately invited him to kill Yun Shangqing's spirit. He wanted to tell Yun Shangqing that he, Gu Mingjun, also knew someone in the Tantric sect. This person looks unfamiliar. I'm afraid he's a genius of the Tantric sect. Such a genius only returns once in 100 years. I didn't expect him to come today. Sigh. The Illusion God sect has provoked a big enemy today. Sigh. The square was also quietly filled with the sounds of discussion. However, when everyone was looking at the aggressive genius of the Tantric sect, a faint voice sounded in their ears. You're not enough. Sigh. Boom. The square seemed to explode. Everyone was shocked, then they became numb. That kid was more than heaven-defying. He was going to kill his way up to the 9 heavens. Gu Mingjun, the geniuses of the 10 great sects, the 3 sons of the Qi family, the sect leader of the Illusion God sect, and everyone else had their mouths agape. That kid offended the geniuses of the 10 great sects. That's one thing. But he didn't even put a genius of the Tantric sect in his eyes? One had to know that the Tantric sect was in the half-saint realm. Many people shook their heads, thinking that junior brother Lin wouldn't live past tomorrow. Sigh, junior brother Lin is dead for sure. I only hope that he doesn't implicate the Illusion God sect. Imengruo also sighed. She seemed to feel sorry for Lin Ling, but her eyes were filled with schadenfreude. At this moment, the genius of the Tantric sect finally landed on the ground. He stared coldly at Lin Ling. In fact, he was surprised and didn't know what was good for him. He wanted to kill this kid with a slap. Rumble. However, at this moment the clouds in the distance rolled. A large amount of terrifying aura spread out like a tide, making it difficult for everyone in the square to breathe. The Tantric sect is here. Sigh. It was unknown who let out a cry of surprise, but it made everyone look forward to it even more. Brat, consider yourself lucky. When this martial arts exchange is over, you'll know how to write the word regret. The genius from the tantric sect swept a cold and indifferent glance at Lin Ling as he spoke with disdain. After speaking, he turned around and strode forward, preparing to welcome the experts from the tantric sect. You don't know what's good for you. You've offended Brother Tuesday. Just wait for someone to collect your corpse. Gu Mingjun sneered and followed Tu Ge. The other 10 geniuses also looked at Lin Ling mockingly, their eyes full of pity. Even the people from the illusion god sect were the same. Aside from the 3 sons of the Qi clan, everyone else was gloating over Lin Ling's misfortune. Imengrua even let out a bell-like laugh as she muttered to herself. As expected of senior brother Lin, the genius who dominates the spirit province and dares to step on everyone. How majestic! Qiyu frowned. Senior brother Lin? What's senior brother Lin? Someone thinks he's senior brother Lin. Junior sister Qiyu, you should ask him yourself. Imengrua stared at Lin Ling. At this moment, the 3 sons of the Qi clan could hear the sarcasm in Imengrua's words. Haha, if he's senior brother Lin, then I'm one of the 4 heavenly kings of the tantric sect. The people from the illusion god sect were stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. They looked at Lin Ling, as if they were looking at a toad. How could this brat have the face to call himself senior brother Lin? Junior brother Lin, did you say those words? Qiyu couldn't help but ask Lin Ling. I did say those words. I'm senior brother Lin, so there's no need to hide anything. Lin Ling calmly looked at Qiyu. Qiyu froze on the spot, her expression as if she had seen a ghost. Junior brother Lin, what kind of situation are you in? You can still brag with a straight face. You don't even blink. I admire you. Before Qiyu could speak, Qiyong couldn't help but speak. They sympathized with Lin Ling and wanted to help him. However, the premise was that Lin Ling wasn't so arrogant. Not long ago, he had trampled on all the geniuses, and now he was boasting that he was senior brother Lin. Couldn't he behave himself? Seeing everyone's reaction, Lin Ling shook his head and looked at the distant sky. Rumble. In the distance, thunderous booms could be heard. More and more experts were arriving. Woo-woo. 9 phoenixes were singing and peach blossoms were sprinkling down. The phoenixes were full of beauties. They were from the fairy sect. Rumble. On the ground, more than 1,000 giants were approaching. They were like moving mountains, and on the shoulders of each giant stood a powerful martial artist. On the other side, a huge palace was crashing down like a meteorite. It was earth-shattering. Half of the spirit state was in turmoil. There were countless experts, and the light of the saints shrouded the square. How terrifying! No one didn't cry out in surprise. No one had expected so many great figures to come. Why are they here? I heard that they're here for senior brother Lin. Maybe senior brother Lin is among them. No matter who they're here for, it's the greatest blessing of my life to see so many saints today. Everyone in the square was in high spirits. Some of them were even trembling, and the weaker ones knelt down directly. What a grand scene. I've been in the tantric sect for many years, and this is the first time I've seen so many experts come out in full force. Brother Tu said solemnly with his hands behind his back. He had been shining brightly before, but now he was as dim as an ant. Brother Tu, are they here for senior brother Lin? Gu Mingjun was still in shock. That's right. No one has such charisma except for senior brother Lin. Even I can't compare to senior brother Lin. Brother Tu nodded with admiration in his eyes. That can't be. Brother Tu is a genius of the tantric sect. Have you not fought with him before? Gu Mingjun was shocked. Brother Tu shook his head. I just came back not long ago, so I haven't seen senior brother Lin. However, he has a brother called Sakura, and he's extremely powerful. A month ago, I fought with him and returned with a draw. He's a martial immortal, and his strength is terrifying. Most importantly, I heard that senior brother Lin is even stronger than Sakura. From this, you can see how powerful he is, and why the tantric sect values him so much. Chi. Upon hearing this, the 10 great geniuses beside him inhaled a breath of cold air. A peculiar glint flashed across Gu Mingjuan's eyes as he expectantly said, Brother Tu, you are a genius of the tantric sect. Senior Lin will definitely give you face. May I know if you can recommend me to meet him? I have the same idea. The other geniuses immediately said excitedly. Haha, I'll try my best. Brother 2 nodded slightly, but he also smiled. However, I can't guarantee that he'll meet you. Even I can't guarantee that he'll give me face if I invite him. It's okay, I'll try my best. Chapter 3087. The real senior brother Lin is back. Gu Mingjun was getting more and more excited. If he could get to know senior brother Lin, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the spirit province. He couldn't help but look at junior brother Lin, who had shrunk back into the crowd. The disdainful smile on his face deepened. Junior brother Lin was so arrogant just now. Will he still dare to be so arrogant when he sees senior brother Lin? However, Gu Mingjun guessed that junior brother Lin would definitely not dare to. Look at that girl. She's so beautiful. That's Longyang. Oh my god, she's as beautiful as the rumors say. She's here too. Could it be that she's here for senior brother Lin? Moreover, the sect leaders of the 10 great sects are all here. Those powerhouses are so scary. They're all saints. Could it be that the tantric sect's lord is here too? As time passed, the powerhouses in the sky landed on the ground. The entire plaza was in an uproar. This was because the number of powerhouses that the tantric sect had sent was beyond their imagination. Today is a big day for the tantric sect. After the powerhouses landed, a young man walked out with a smile. It was Yin Shangqing. Previously, he and his father had gone to welcome the powerhouses of the tantric sect. However, he didn't expect the tantric sect to send so many powerhouses. They were all here to welcome senior brother Lin. From this, one could see how important senior brother Lin was. Moreover, he was the host of this banquet. This made him feel very proud, and he felt like he was bringing honor to his ancestors. This was all thanks to senior brother Lin. Senior brother Lin, please come out. The tantric sect is here to welcome you. Yes. After Yun Shangqing's voice fell, the entire plaza subconsciously fell silent. The powerhouses of the spirit province and the other big shots sat with serious expressions. As for the 4 heavenly kings, they smiled. They had finally found Lin Ling, and he was fine. This made them feel as if a huge rock had been lifted from their hearts. Second brother has escaped death. I've been worried sick for the past few days. Second sister, you can rest assured. Yes. Among them, Sakura also faintly smiled as he looked at the 2 beauties beside him and said, they were Yu and Yu. At that moment, they both smiled and nodded. Senior brother Lin, please come out. Yes. Yun Shangqing's voice became even more agitated as he yelled again. Senior martial brother Lin really came. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope he'll look at me. Many of the sects in the square craned their necks. They wanted to see the legendary figure, but they also wanted to be noticed by this figure. Senior martial brother Lin. Even the 3rd son of the Qi clan, Qi Yu, had a strange look in his eyes. I'm guessing that he must be very handsome. Sister, don't hope that he'll take a fancy to you. You're not good enough for him. Even though Qi Yang was the elder brother, he still couldn't help but strike a blow. However, Qi didn't mind. She also knew that the extravagant hope in her heart was impossible. She smiled and said, to be able to speak to him, or for him to look at me, that would be enough. I would also be able to make all the sects in the south of the spirit province, and even the illusion god sect endlessly jealous. You? A toad lusting after a swan. However, Imungrua immediately struck a blow. She sprinkled her light and quietly dressed herself up, as if she was anticipating being noticed by senior martial brother Lin. This also made Qi Shi and the sect master of the illusion god sect shake their heads helplessly. This senior martial brother Lin hadn't even arrived yet, but the spirit province was already boiling like boiling water. Apart from the younger generation, he also saw some old women who were close to 50 years old. They were also quietly dressing up. Of course, when they looked around, they also discovered that a person calmly walked out from beside them. It was Lin Ling. Junior martial brother Lin, what are you doing? Qi Shi couldn't help but exclaim. The current situation was different from before. Half of the entire spirit province had arrived. At this crucial moment, junior martial brother Lin shouldn't suddenly do something stupid. Are you crazy? They're looking for Senior Marshal Brother Lin. Do you want to die? Even Imungrua stopped dressing up. Her beautiful eyes were fixated on Lin Ling. They're actually looking for me. Lin Ling didn't even look at the crowd as he strode forward. Junior Marshal Brother Lin. Chi Yu hurriedly stretched out her hand, wanting to pull Lin Ling back. However, it was already too late. This was because Lin Ling had already walked out from the various major sects and became the most dazzling star. At this moment, he was like a ray of light that illuminated the entire spirit province. The square was also deathly silent. Gu Mingjun was tongue-tied. Heavens, was that guy's head smacked by a donkey? Tu Gu, you've been to the 9 prefectures. Have you ever seen such a person? Another genius said nervously. Tu Ji's eyes almost popped out of his eye sockets. He shook his head blankly. No, but I'm sure that even if we don't do anything, he's dead for sure. He knew very well that the saints of the spirit state all had their own dignity. If they violated their dignity, it would not be as simple as just teaching them a lesson. The result would definitely be death, and even the sect they belonged to would be eradicated. Come back, you beast! Someone from the illusionary god sect almost rushed out, afraid of being implicated by Lin Ling. But at this moment, a smiling voice suddenly sounded. You're finally back, second brother. Everyone was stunned when they heard that. What did second brother mean? At this moment another voice sounded. It was as clear as a bell, and extremely pleasant to the ears. She was also the #1 beauty of the tantric sect, Longyang. You're back, senior brother Lin. Then, laughter sounded at the same time. Welcome back, senior brother Lin. Congratulations on your return, senior brother Lin. Those voices were not loud, but they rushed into Gu Mingjuan's ears like waves, leaving them dumbfounded. They even looked at the most powerful people of the tantric sect for help, hoping that those powerful people could give them some answers. Among the powerful people of the tantric sect, an old man who looked like a saint stroked his beard and finally smiled faintly. Disciple, you're back. His voice was filled with joy, but it was like the realm emperor of the spirit province, announcing it to the world. Senior brother Lin? Countless people's eyes almost popped out of their eye sockets. In their eyes, the blue-robed young man had his hands behind his back. His steps were steady, as if he had walked from the most inconspicuous corner of the spirit province to the peak of the spirit province. This let them know that the real senior brother Lin had returned. Junior brother Lin, no, he's senior brother Lin? Imungrua could not even speak properly. She felt as if she had encountered the biggest joke in her life. That's senior brother Lin? Oh my god, I think I've seen him before. Not only have you seen him before, I've seen him a few times in the illusionary sect. Could it be that senior brother Lin has been with us all this time? The disciples of the various sects were shocked when they realized what was going on. Many of them could not even believe what they were seeing. However, the powerful people of the spirit province should not have misjudged him, right? Therefore, even if they did not believe it, they had to admit it was the truth. Junior brother Lin, is it really senior brother Lin? Of course, the ones who were the most shocked were the 3 sons of the Qi family. That was because they had lived with Lin Ling for a few months. Little sister, the person you've always dreamed of meeting is actually right beside you. Over the past few months, you've not only spoken a single word to him, he's also looked at you more than once. Qi Yang's mouth trembled as he spoke. Chapter 3088. Laughing at the world. In their minds, junior brother Lin was a man of few words who cultivated all the time and liked to brag. Now he was talking to a big shot who had defeated the geniuses of the tantric sect, trampled on the geniuses of the 10 major sects, and caused an earthquake in the spirit state. They merged together quietly. This changed the way they looked at Lin Ling. They no longer looked at him like before. Instead, they looked at him with reverence. The entire square was dead silent. Only the tantric sect's bigwigs kept talking to Lin Ling. Those who knew Lin Ling, and those who didn't knew Lin Ling, were all smiling ingratiatingly. This was because they knew that Lin Ling's disappearance had caused a huge commotion in the tantric sect. This proved that Lin Ling was being groomed by the tantric sect as a tantric sect master. Young friend Lin, I'm the sect master of the fairy sect. We've met once before. Haha, my son is Yin Shangqing. Do you still remember him? The sect masters of the 10 major sects were all sucking up to Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled faintly. His gaze landed on Yin Shangqing's father, causing the latter to smile excitedly. This was a great opportunity. Shangqing, come and greet senior brother Lin. No need. I'll meet him myself. Lin Ling took a step forward and walked towards the 10 geniuses. Beside him, the sect leaders of the various major sects followed with fawning expressions. There was even a hint of envy in their eyes. Yin Shangqing's father was too smart to recommend his son at such a critical moment. His son might become a genius of the tantric sect immediately. Therefore, they had to seize the opportunity to recommend the outstanding genius of their sects. SS senior brother Lin. Yin Shangqing stuttered when he saw the calm Lin Ling in front of him. I promised you something. You can mention it now. Lin Ling said. I want to become a genius of the tantric sect. Yin Shangqing shuddered. The geniuses of the tantric sect were divided into different levels. The higher the level, the higher the status, and the more cultivation resources. All right. Lin Ling simply nodded. Master should be able to do such a small thing. In reality, Xing Xian didn't care about what Lin Ling was saying. To him, the return of his disciple was more important than anything else. Even if his disciple wanted the Son of Spirit Province, he could still take it down. Senior brother Lin, this way please. Seeing Yin Shangqing's meteoric rise, the various sect masters were unwilling to be outdone. They asked Lin Ling to follow the geniuses of the 10 great sections. As for the geniuses from the 10 great sects, all of them lowered their heads. Among them was Gu Mingjun. His expression was one of confusion. Until now, he had never placed Lin Ling in his eyes, and thought that Lin Ling was a pile of shit on the earth, while he was a soaring eagle in the sky. But now it was clear who was a pile of shit. However, when Lin Ling walked past them, he did not even look at them. Not even a breath's worth of time was enough for Lin Ling to look at him. Even Brother 2, a tantric genius, could not make Lin Ling look at him. This was a silent humiliation. This meant that none of them were worthy of Lin Ling's attention. Instantly all the geniuses trembled. Were they that bad? So bad that he couldn't even be bothered to look at them. I don't know what's good for me. However, Lin Ling walked past them and chuckled to himself. His words were like thunder. It made the hearts of all the geniuses tremble. Previously, they wanted to teach Lin Ling a lesson. At that time, Lin Ling said that they weren't qualified, and that it would be the same no matter how many people came. This made them think that Lin Ling didn't know what was good for him. But now, they thought that Lin Ling could stomp all of them to death with one foot. This made them lower their heads and their eyes filled with anger. However, when they thought of the power that senior brother Lin brought, their anger turned into despair. Sigh, we can't be worthy of young friend Lin's attention. The sect leaders of the major sects sighed softly. Lin Ling, on the other hand, was like a bright lamp that attracted the attention of everyone in the spirit state. He walked past the geniuses of the top 10 sects, and gradually arrived at the side of the major sects. The people of the major sects were all excited. They lowered their heads, and didn't dare to look directly at him. Some of them even knelt down. However, Lin Ling's footsteps suddenly stopped before a woman. Surprisingly, that woman was Yimengrua. She stared fixedly at Lin Ling, and her eyes were still filled with shock, bewilderment, unwillingness, and rage. But in the end, they transformed into helplessness. Previously, Lin Ling had said that he was senior brother Lin. At that time she didn't believe it. Now, she had obviously been slapped in the face. Therefore, she knew that junior brother Lin would definitely reprimand and mock her. Haha. Lin Ling looked at the group of people indifferently. Suddenly, a laughter that shook the 9 heavens was heard. Laughing waves. Laughing wildly at the world. After laughing, Lin Ling turned around and left. He didn't say anything. He replied to the people of the illusionary god sect with a smile. His smile told Yimengrua how lowly they were. At this moment, Yimengrua also laughed. She laughed silently, powerlessly, and regretfully. Could she only make junior brother Lin laugh? She didn't even have the right to make junior brother Lin speak. Once, there was a bright path in front of her eyes. However, she missed it. She laughed at that path and looked down on it. If she was given a chance now, she would seize it, and not let it go for 10,000 years. Unfortunately, the chance was gone. None of the top 10 sects could make Lin Ling speak. It was the same for the major sects. However, Lin Ling's footsteps finally stopped. "Qi Shi, are you willing to follow me to the Tantric sect?" Lin Ling's voice floated out. He smiled. The three sons of the Qi family were all stunned. "Qi Yang, Qi Yu, are you willing to become a genius of the Tantric sect?" Lin Ling asked again. The bodies of the three sons of the Qi family continued to tremble. "Oh, if you're not willing, then forget it." Seeing that they were so excited that they didn't know what to say, Lin Ling shrugged helplessly and turned to leave. Bang! The three of them immediately knelt down on one knee. "I'm willing. 100 times willing. Junior brother Lin, don't leave us behind." The three of them shouted one after another, as if they were afraid that Lin Ling would ignore them after walking away. "Junior brother Lin, you once said that in the Spirit Province, as long as we mention your name, we can do whatever we want." Qi Yu's eyes were moist. "Those words are still valid." Lin Ling waved his hand with his back to them. The smile on his face became wider, causing the three sons of the Qi family to smile crazily. Especially Qi Shi. He knew that the illusion god True Inheritance had found the best owner. The entire illusionary god sect looked at the three sons of the Qi family with envy. The sect leader was stunned for a long time before he finally slapped himself. "I'm fucking stupid." However, no one laughed at him. Instead, they only felt sympathy for him. As for the Tantric sect elites, they naturally wouldn't care about this ant. They all smiled at Lin Ling brother Ling. Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Ge had already pounced on Lin Ling and hugged Lin Ling tightly. "Sorry for making you worry." Chapter 3089. Back to the Tantric sect. The scene was extremely silent. All the experts in half of the spirit state looked at the three of them with gratified smiles. They didn't interrupt this heartwarming moment. "So he has a wife, and she's so beautiful. Wow." Longyang's eyes kept flickering in the fairy sect. No wonder Lin Ling had always been dismissive of her. Most importantly, she realized that apart from being weaker, Lin Ling's wife was as beautiful and elegant as her. Under everyone's envious gazes, Lin Ling held Yu Yu and the rest's hands and strode into the distance. Once he moved, the powerful cultivators of the spirit state all left, as if a single strand of hair would move the entire body. This further proved that all the big shots in half of the spirit state had come here today for senior brother Lin. "Gu Mingjun, stop looking. You'll never catch up with him. He's already at the top of the spirit state." Among the geniuses from the top 10 sects, Brother Tu looked into the distance and sighed. In fact, if Lin Ling had wanted to kill him, no one would have stopped him. Unfortunately, he was too lowly. The lowly Lin Ling didn't even have the motivation to kill him. Gu Mingjuan's eyes kept trembling. His size and helplessness turned into admiration. He knew that he couldn't compare to Lin Ling. He would never be able to compare. He could only look up to Lin Ling for the rest of his life. When he thought of his disdain for Lin Ling, the self-deprecating smile on his face deepened. "Qi Yang, where are you going?" At this moment, an exclamation came from the illusionary god sect. The three from the Qi family stepped forward and walked into the distance. To the Tantric sect. The three of them didn't turn back. "Can you bring me along?" The previous exclamation sounded again, but this time it turned into a pleading. She was Imungrua. "It's too late." Among the three from the Qi family, Qi Yang stopped and looked at Imungrua calmly. His words made the latter's heart tremble. She wanted to say something, but Qi Yang had already left with his father. They walked further and further, as if they had reached the highest mountain in the spirit state. This made Yimeng realize that from now on, she and Qi Yang were people from two different worlds. She could only appear at the bottom of the well, a frog at the bottom of the well. Wow. After an unknown period of time, Imungrua finally burst into tears. Her cries were extremely miserable. Many people around the square heaved a long sigh. If they were Imungrua, they would probably cry too. "Now I also feel like crying." The sect master of the illusion god sect was at a loss, but he revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. Under the blue sky, a large number of people turned into rainbows and flew into the distance. "Disciple, what happened?" Who the hell dares to kill you? Are you trying to rebel? Xing Xian looked at Lin Ling and said, the disciple of the heavenly court's martial god Qilin. Lin Ling did not hide anything from Xing Xiuyan. His words stunned the latter. If his opponent was a powerful cultivator from the spirit state, Qing state, or heaven state, he wouldn't be afraid at all. However, the heavenly court was no small matter, because it was a great power that spread throughout the 9 states. This is a little troublesome, Xing Xian said with a frown. He glanced at the master of the tantric sect, and the latter nodded. Master, I'll settle this myself. Lin Ling felt warmth in his heart. Although he knew that the tantric sect couldn't afford to offend the heavenly court, he also knew that if the heavenly court wanted to kill him, his master would definitely be the first to stand up and protect him. At this moment, he silently acknowledged Xing Xian's identity as his master. However, master, you don't have to worry too much. Although the heavenly court wants to catch me, they don't know where I am. The 9 states is vast and boundless. It will take a lot of time to find me. Lin Ling comforted Xing Xian. That's true. Xing Xian nodded. The majestic crowd finally returned to the huge valley. At this moment, the valley was packed with people, and the sound of chatter could be heard from time to time. I heard that Senior Lin is coming back. TSK. I didn't expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. In order to welcome him, all the powerful cultivators of the tantric sect have been mobilized. Hehe, I think you're just jealous. However, Senior Lin is the disciple of the 4 heavenly kings, and he's very powerful. It's no wonder you're jealous. What's there to be jealous of? It's better that Senior Lin is always in his strongest state. Otherwise, if he weakens one day and is kicked out of the sect, it won't be good. The higher you fly, the more painful it is to fall. I dare you to say that again. All kinds of voices could be heard in every corner of the valley. Some people admired Lin Ling, and some people were jealous of Lin Ling. Everyone had their own thoughts. Senior brother Dongmen, what do you think? Under an ancient tree, several figures leaned against the ancient tree and smiled faintly. One of them touched his nose and said casually, what's there to see? He's just a martial immortal. That's all there is to it. Another person shrugged as if he didn't care at all. This Senior Lin is no ordinary martial immortal. It's said that Chou Junlang was defeated by him. This Senior Lin's strength is quite extraordinary. The person who spoke first warned. At this moment, the eyes of the few people who were calm and collected earlier started to flicker. However, the young man who led the group still had a calm expression on his face. Most importantly, this person even rejected the Dragon Mother in front of countless people. This kind of courage is extremely extraordinary. That person continued to speak. Oh, I've underestimated him. Hearing those words, the young man who led the group also had a serious expression. Those people were all geniuses of the Tantra. The young man who led the group was the second genius of the Tantra. He was extremely powerful, and was heavily nurtured by the entire Tantra. TSK. As the rumors say, the entire sect has moved out. However, senior brother Dongmen, last time when you were being chased by your enemies, I remember that the Lord of the Tantra only asked you a question out of concern. Not to mention the entire sect moving out. Even the Lord of the Tantra didn't come out to look for you. Sigh, I feel that it's unfair for you. No matter what, you're the second genius of the Tantra. Why is your treatment worse than Lin Ling's? The young man who spoke first said again. His words were trying to sow discord. How could senior brother Dongmen not know that? However, even though he knew, he still felt very uncomfortable. The difference in treatment between him and Lin Ling was simply too great. And Lin Ling, what right did he have? Rumble. At the same time, the various big shots in the sky had returned, causing the entire valley to become extremely lively. Of course, when they saw the blue-robed young man, many people were in awe and envy. Sure enough, it was as the rumors said. In order to welcome Lin Ling, the entire sect's experts had turned out in full force. He was also the rising star with the greatest reputation in the history of the Tantra. Senior brother Lin, welcome back. Many people were no fools. They immediately started to flatter him. Chapter 3090. The powerful Dongmen Hong. Hehe, I've long heard of Senior Brother Lin's name. However, at that moment a chuckle was heard. A few figures with extraordinary auras walked over slowly from afar. The leader had his hands behind his back. He had a friendly smile on his face, but there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Dongmen Hong. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw the young man in the lead. He was a genius at the level of Tantric Buddhism. Furthermore, he was ranked second in the entire Tantric Buddhism. He was also an important figure who could shake the entire spirit state. In the past, many people would give face to Dongmen Hong and allow him to be ranked only below the 4 heavenly kings. However, Lin Ling had appeared out of nowhere. In many people's hearts, Lin Ling's potential was stronger than Dongmen Hong's. Dongmen Hong, what's the matter? The Tantric Buddhism master suddenly asked. This made Dongmen Hong frown. In the past, the Tantric Buddhism master would always smile when he saw him. However, this time, the Tantric Buddhism master seemed to be reprimanding him. This attitude made him unhappy instantly. This was because he knew that the Tantric Buddhism master was acting this way because of Lin Ling. Tantric Buddhism master, it's nothing. I've heard of Senior Brother Lin's name for a long time, so I'd like to spar with him. Dongmen Hong went straight to the point in an overbearing manner. What? Tantric Buddhism master was shocked. No one expected Dongmen Hong to make such a request. Could it be that Senior Brother Dongmen is envious of Lin Ling's treatment? I think so. After all, Senior Brother Dongmen is ranked second in Tantric Buddhism. He has won endless glory for Tantric Buddhism. On the other hand, Lin Ling has only been famous for a short period of time, but he's more valued than Senior Brother Dongmen. Senior Brother Dongmen definitely won't be able to take it lying down. However, Senior Brother Dongmen is a 4th heaven half-saint. He also has a powerful 3rd-grade desolate body. His ultimate martial Dao foundation is also deep. How can Senior Brother Lin be his match? People began to discuss animatedly. Dongmen Hong, you're being ridiculous. The Tantric Buddhism master frowned and reprimanded. Tantric Buddhism master, may I ask what right do men have to walk the world? Buddhism master, may I ask what is the universe chaos world? Lord Tantric Buddhism, may I ask, if a martial artist has Dakai in his heart, how would he face it? Dongmen Hong took a step forward and looked at the master of Tantra fearlessly. The entire Tantric sect fell silent. The Tantric Sama frowned even harder. Martial artists rely on their strength to traverse the world. In this chaotic universe, strength is everything. If a martial artist has something in his heart, he must face it head-on. Right now Lin Ling is the person in my heart. I Dongmen Hong am open and honest. I will say whatever comes to my mind. If I have been rude, please forgive me, Master Tantric sect. Dongmen Hong's voice was like thunder, powerful and resonant. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the hearts of many people in the Tantric sect surged. Although Dongmen Hong was a little overbearing, it was undeniable that his words made sense. If a cultivator had misgivings and was afraid of everything, how would they be able to leave the 9 prefectures? I don't agree to your conditions. The Tantric swordsman said coldly. He still did not agree to Dongmen Hong's request. I quit Tantric Buddhism. However, Dongmen Hong refused to back down and refused to back down. At this moment, the Tantric swordsman's expression changed drastically. Dongmen Hong was the future of Tantric Buddhism. Tantric Buddhism had given him countless resources to nurture. If he quit Tantric Buddhism, it would undoubtedly be a huge loss to Tantric Buddhism. This also made the Tantric swordsman fall silent. Seeing this, Dongmen Hong's lips curled into a smile. He knew that the Tantric swordsman would not dare to reject his request. His gaze also began to look at Lin Ling. Lin Ling's expression was calm as he looked at Dongmen Hong calmly. In the beginning, he did not know why Dongmen Hong was targeting him. However, he now knew that it was because of jealousy. Senior Brother Lin, since you're my senior brother, do you dare to accept my challenge? Dongmen Hong took a step forward and said calmly. However, he became even more aggressive. Moreover, according to seniority, he was actually Lin Ling's senior brother. However, he did not address himself as senior brother. This was to force Lin Ling to accept the challenge. One had to admit that although this person looked arrogant, he was also very meticulous. How can he accept the challenge? Senior brother Lin can defeat senior brother Qiu. However, senior brother Dongmen is not like senior brother Qiu. He's a 4th stage half-saint. Senior brother Lin's ability to fight above his level is very strong. However, it's impossible for him to defeat a 4th stage half-saint. That's right. If senior brother Lin was a 1st stage half-saint, I would think highly of him. In fact, if he was given more time, I would think highly of him too. However, senior brother Lin is still a little weak now. Although the crowd was looking forward to this battle, they also felt that it was a little unfair. Hee. Only a coward would not accept the challenge. Of course, there were those who admired Lin Ling naturally. There were also those who were jealous of Lin Ling. Therefore they sneered harshly. Since you're so powerful, why don't you come? However, those who admired Lin Ling did not back down and retaliated. The entire Tantric Buddhism was like boiling water. Chapter 3091. He accepted the challenge. I heard that such a terrifying treasure was obtained by senior brother Dongmin in a miracle. Everyone looked at the sky in fear. Dark clouds were rolling as if a god had returned. Rumble. However, this was not the end. Endless black light began to envelop the spirit state, turning the entire plane into night. What's happening? Why did it suddenly become night? Looks like this is the doing of an expert. Tisk TSK. The spirit state is ranked 4th in the 9 states. To be able to change the climate of the spirit state, this method is truly impressive. In every corner of the spirit state, countless warriors looked at the sky in awe. They knew that an earth-shattering battle must have occurred at the peak of the spirit state. This is my talent, the 100 Great Bloodline, the Kirishin talent, a 3rd grade desolate body. At this moment, Dongmen Hung opened his arms and hugged the sky. Endless black light spewed out from behind him with the power to destroy everything. Unseal 3rd seal. Furthermore, Dongmen Hung did not stop using his trump cards. His true god martial soul began to unseal, and his rank power reached 50%. With a terrifying desolate body and an extreme weapon in his hand, coupled with the strength of a mid-stage half-saint, he was the 2nd genius of the Tantric sect. How terrifying! At this moment, everyone finally knew how strong Dongmen Hong was. They even knew that Dongmen Hong had purposely used his strength to prove himself and suppress Lin Ling. Of course, even if they knew Dongmen Hong's intentions, what could they do? This was because Dongmen Hong was indeed very strong. Between Dongmen Hong and Lin Ling, they were simply on 2 different levels. Although Lin Ling's ability to fight above his level was very strong, Dongmen Hong was twice as strong as Lin Ling. A miracle could not happen again. I'll admit defeat for him in this battle. Xing Xian knew this as well, which was why he shouted loudly. Dongmen Hong, Lin Ling admits defeat. The Tantric sect leader frowned and also spoke. He knew that Dongmen Hong wanted respect, and he had given it to him. Of course, he was furious in his heart as well, because Dongmen Hong had obtained this respect by stepping on Lin Ling, and Lin Ling hadn't offended him at all since the beginning. Admit defeat? Dongmen Hong took in everyone's gazes. At that moment he was elated. He wanted the Tantric sect to know who the true genius was. Lin Ling, this rising star, wanted to seize his honor? That was a dream. Sure. Wherever I am, Lin Ling will avoid me, Dongmen Hong said faintly. Also go to Longnyang and apologize to her. He made his request. These demands were undoubtedly a deep humiliation to Lin Ling. It could even be said that they had gone too far. Xing Xiuyan had already represented Lin Ling taking a step back. Illusion God true inheritance. Among everyone, only the 3 sons of the Qi clan reacted. Their bodies continued to tremble. An illusion. Dongmen Hong was confused by the illusion. Lin Ling had his hands behind his back. He looked at the crazy Dongmen Hong with disdain and shook his head mockingly. Dongmen Hong's methods are unparalleled. Unfortunately, his ultimate martial Dao is too weak. Furthermore, he doesn't have soul power. How can he see through the first level of my illusion God true inheritance, 100 moves? In fact, Dongmen Hong was indeed very strong. However, if Lin Ling really used his trump card, he might not lose to him. At most, it would be a draw. However, After using a soul martial art, Lin Ling easily suppressed his opponent. Unless his opponent's cultivation was higher, he could use brute force to break through it. However, that kind of force would definitely be able to break through the power of the spirit province. Apart from that, it would depend on soul power. If one's soul power was only 1,000 levels weaker than Lin Ling's, then they could still see through it. As for the others, they acted as usual. This was because Lin Ling's 100 moves was only used to target Dongmen Hong. Then Lin Ling walked forward with his hands behind his back. He looked very calm. Everyone watched as Lin Ling walked towards Dongmen Hong and stood behind him. However, Dongmen Hong continued to step on the ground like a madman and continued to laugh. What's going on? I don't know. Perhaps senior brother Dongmen's old injuries suddenly acted up, so his mind is not clear. That means that senior brother Lin has won. The tantric sex people were all confused. Break. At this moment Lin Ling, who was standing behind Dongmen Hong, said calmly, "Kacha." In Dongmen Hong's eyes, the illusion of Lin Ling was finally trampled to death by him. This stunned him for a moment before he laughed excitedly. Haha, the tantric sex peerless genius was actually trampled to death. This kind of death will make all the warriors in the spirit province laugh their heads off. Everyone look. This is the peerless genius that you were talking about. You've all been deceived. After laughing, Dongmen Hong looked at the crowd. However, everyone looked at Dongmen Hong strangely. Not long after, someone said softly, "It seems that senior brother Dongmen has gone mad. This is not because he's not clear-headed at all." Those words made Dongmen Hong confused. He quickly looked at the tantric sex master. "Dongmen Hong, what are you doing?" The tantric sex master frowned and asked, "I've defeated Lin Ling. Moreover, I've killed him and removed his cowardly mask." Dongmen Hong lifted his chest and said proudly, "But look behind you." The tantric sex master frowned even more. He also thought that Dongmen Hong had gone mad. With Dongmen Hong's strength, it was impossible for him to not be able to see if someone was dead. "Oh. I was just lucky," Lin Ling replied calmly. There was no pride on his face. It was as if it was a given that he was ranked second among the geniuses of the tantric sect. Seeing Lin Ling's attitude, the tantric sect master and Xing Xian smiled helplessly. At that moment, they could not see through Lin Ling anymore. Lin Ling was shrouded in a mysterious glow. After chatting for a while, the crowd left. In the following days, Lin Ling brought Yu and the rest to the ancient tree on Mount Yu to cultivate. Yu and the rest also improved their strength greatly. As for Lin Ling, he did not need it for the time being, because the dead souls he had devoured in the green state had gathered a large amount of spirit qi in his body. Senior brother Lin, junior sister Long invites you. That day, a letter of invitation fell into Lin Ling's hands. It was from Long Yang of the fairy sect. This caused Lin Ling to be puzzled, because he had cut off all ties with Dragon Mother. She shouldn't have come looking for him. I'll ignore her. Shaking his head, Lin Ling decided to ignore Long Yang. Brother Ling, let's go and take a look. Long Yang's master is senior Xing Xian's lover after all. Yu and the rest reminded him. Haha, Long Yang is the top beauty. Aren't you afraid that brother Ling will fall for her? Lin Ling smiled. Haha. Yu and Xian Yuange looked at each other and shook their heads. We believe that brother Ling is not the kind of person who is greedy for beauty. Moreover, if Long Yang likes brother Ling, it means that brother Ling is outstanding. You guys are glib-tongued. Upon hearing that, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He also planned to attend the banquet. However, he said calmly, Long Yang is not simple either. She is hiding a secret that no one knows. I'm afraid that this invitation is ill-intentioned. His all-encompassing demon eyes had already seen that Long Yang had the bloodline of the dragon clan. However, I hope she doesn't think she's smart. Lin Ling instantly understood. Of course, it wasn't because he was careless. He just didn't expect Long Yang to know such an ancient secret. Bitch. He turned around and looked at Long Yang. He wanted to gather his strength, but it was as if all his strength had been sealed. Even his soul power was the same. Senior brother Lin, You can only blame yourself for not knowing what's good for you. At this moment, Long Nyang was no longer as lovely as before. She had become cold. Plop. Lin Ling glared at Long Nyang angrily. However, he finally fell down and his consciousness began to blur. Senior Sister Long, the poison that senior brother Dongmen gave is indeed amazing. I was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling fall down, the woman beside Long Nyang immediately sneered. This poison recipe was obtained by senior brother Dongmen in a miracle in Yuzhou. Naturally, it is extraordinary. Those who are poisoned will dream of life and death, enter the reincarnation of their previous life, and finally become a person from their previous life. Dragon Mother said coldly, "This Lin Ling is very strong, but he definitely wasn't strong in his previous life. If he returned to his previous life, he would also be an ant. However, Master Xing Xian behind Lin Ling can't be underestimated. How do you plan to deal with him, Senior Sister Long?" "It's simple. Just say that Lin Ling humiliated me with wine." I think Master Xing Xian would be too embarrassed to speak up. Also, Lin Ling will be cursed in the spirit state as a bastard. Chapter 3096. Li Xiaoyao from his previous life had awakened. Let's not talk about this anymore. You, on the other hand, aren't you cultivating the Maiden Divine technique? You need to absorb the realm essence of men. So Lin Ling is beneficial to you. You should have sex with him. Thank you, Senior Sister Long. After chatting for a while, the woman smiled and looked at Lin Ling like a snake staring at its prey. Then, she waved her hand, and her boundary energy enveloped Lin Ling and brought him to the second floor. Although this Lin Ling is very annoying, he's also a big shot. Plus, he's handsome, so you won't lose out. Have fun. Long Nyang smiled enviously as she watched the woman leave. Thank you, Senior Sister. Junior Sister knows that Lin Ling is probably the best man Junior Sister has ever played with in her entire life. The woman let out a crisp laugh that was like a silver bell, and it contained a hint of lust and evil. After you're done, don't kill him. He has something I need. Long Nyang said again, but the woman had already disappeared from the second floor. Hee, to think that a peerless genius of Tantra would end up like this. How sad. The third floor quickly quieted down, but not long after, a young man appeared with a smile on his face. He seemed to have arrived from the chaos of the universe. Clearly, he was extremely powerful. Dragon Lady, I've helped you once, you should contribute something, right? Then, the young man looked at Long Nyang with a burning gaze. Senior brother Dongmen, we're just doing this for our own benefits. There's no need to talk about who's helping whom. As for what I should contribute, if you want my body, then don't even think about it. For some reason, I Long Nyang can't lose my virginity. If you want to use force, then I can only fight with my life. Long Nyang's eyes were cold as she looked at the young man. Hearing this, the young man frowned deeply, but he felt that Long Nyang was not joking, so he endured it in the end. However, she still smiled and said, "You're practicing some kind of cultivation technique, so you have to maintain your virginity? I didn't expect the number one beauty of Tantra to be a virgin. I'm envious of the man who'll get your body in the future." "There will never be." Long Nyang shook her head. The young man shrugged and said, "Lin Ling's poison at first Lin Ling's." However, the woman who cured Lin Ling's Lin Ling was the number one beauty of Tantra. "If you feel unreconciled, I can let Junior Sister accompany you." Thinking about it, she should be very happy. Dragon Mother said, "I can." The young man licked his red. He was Lady Sister Dongmen 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 Dongmen. Dongmen Dongmen. Dongmen Dongmen. Dongmen. Dongmen's S Dongmen. Lu Dongmen 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 Iani Dongmen Dongmen Go Dongers' End. Come, let's drink. I'm waiting to see how useless Lin Ling is when he wakes up. He's so strong in this life. He must have been trash in his previous life. Junior Sister is also looking forward to it. The two of them quickly sat down, drank and chatted happily, and waited for the result. Meanwhile, on the second floor, the woman had already taken off her gown, revealing her fair skin and a body that could drive any man crazy. However, her eyes were fixed on the otherworldly man, and she could not help but lick her lips. This action was also very flirtatious. You're the only man who's worthy of me. Lin Ling, Lin Ling. I'll make you very comfortable. Her jade-like feet stepped out, and a patch of white flowers continued to jump around. At that moment, Lin Ling's face was flushed red. Although his eyes were closed, one could see that his breathing was extremely heavy. Obviously, the poison of desire had entered his soul. Although his subconscious mind was rejecting everything, his body betrayed him. His soul had entered thousands of reincarnations. And this reincarnation was even more terrifying than the ghost city in the rainforest's holy land. That was because these thousands of reincarnations had reached the era of the gods. At that time, who was Lin Ling? Who was he in his previous life? Wake up, you can't fall here. Wake up. However, just as he returned to the first life, an ancient voice sounded in Lin Ling's soul. This made him sober up a little. Next, he skipped the first life, lingered in the second life, and turned into a mortal. Then the third life, the fourth life, and the 100 reincarnations. The hidden dazzling light on Lin Ling's body gradually dimmed. It was as if he had become a mortal from his previous life. This poison is indeed as terrifying as the rumors say. No matter how powerful a genius or a saint is, after being poisoned, they will become immortal. They will no longer have the all-powerful aura. This Lin Ling is so pitiful. He was originally at the peak of the spirit state, but he still fell. Sensing the changes in Lin Ling's body, the woman did not do anything for the time being. Instead, she watched curiously. Finally, after seeing the mortal light on Lin Ling's body become stronger and stronger, she quietly climbed onto the bed and covered herself with the blanket with a smile. At this moment, Lin Ling had reincarnated for thousands of times, and the saint light on his body became dimmer and dimmer. One had to know that the birth of a powerhouse also required the recognition of the universe's chaos. This power of recognition was invisible, just like the fate of the Son of Heaven. When you have the fate of becoming an emperor, then even if you are a peasant, fate will arrange for you to become an emperor. On the contrary, if you have the fate of a mortal, then even if you were born in a noble family, you will inevitably end up as a mortal in the future. In the universe's chaos, there is a mysterious destiny. This was also the reason why warriors cultivated, because they wanted to defy the heavens and change their fate. However, Lin Ling's previous life was not as dazzling as this life, but there was a life where his name shook the 9 states. And that was the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. Unknowingly, Lin Ling came to Li Xiaoyao's life. Suddenly, his body began to emit a powerful aura, as if a saint had descended. That destiny, that fortune, was even more terrifying than Lin Ling's in this life. I am Lin Ling killed by Longnyang. Lin Ling's hazy soul gradually began to wake up. His soul was roaring, causing his body to become even hotter. The spiritual energy hidden in his dantian was rolling at this moment. Rumble. Lin Ling's cultivation realm had completely stepped into the 8th level of the martial immortal realm, and the other 3 dantians had also smoothly stepped into the 8th level when he was on the verge of death. What? The woman sleeping next to Lin Ling exclaimed at this moment. Normally, after Lin Ling was poisoned by the divine poison, he should have turned into a mortal. Even if his cultivation was still strong, it would definitely be difficult for him to control it. Then, she would use the sexual intercourse technique to steal Lin Ling's cultivation. However, Lin Ling had broken through. Poison then broken through? Thinking of this, the woman's body trembled. She turned her head and looked at the handsome young man beside her with her beautiful eyes. The young man's face was as cold as a knife, and his breathing was as heavy as a cow's. However, his calm appearance made the woman feel a little terrified. Could it be that I'm imagining things? The woman muttered to herself. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's slender eyelashes moved slightly, and his eyes opened. A cold gaze, as if from the depths of hell, looked indifferently at the woman beside him. Chapter 3097. I am Li Xiaoyao. You, who are you? The woman's voice was trembling because she realized that the young man beside her was different. He looked like Lin Ling, but he didn't. Instead, he looked like the ruler of 9 prefectures. Could it be that Lin Ling was an extremely terrifying existence in his previous life? I am Li Xiaoyao. Lin Ling spat out these words coldly and stood up. Spare me, spare me. The woman hurriedly knelt down. Her entire body was white, and she was trembling. She felt that the poison had awakened a death god. I never thought that I would be able to see this world again. However, Lin Ling didn't care about the woman. He opened his arms as if he was hugging the sky. At this moment, he looked more like Li Xiaoyao. He was naked. His muscles weren't burly, but they were as exquisite as gems. His long hair cascaded down casually. How was this a young man? He was more like a lazy god emperor, who had just woken up. However, Li Xiaoyao is Li Xiaoyao. Lin Ling is Lin Ling. I will return him to you in this life. The man said coldly. His tone was domineering. It was the aura of stepping on the geniuses of 9 prefectures. His gaze moved quietly and landed on the beauty beside him. He said disdainfully, You are worthy of me? I am sorry, I am sorry. Lin Ling, you can have anything you want. Please spare my life. The woman kowtowed on the bed. The current Lin Ling was even more terrifying than the previous Lin Ling. I want your life. Lin Ling stretched out his hand and patted the woman's head. The latter wanted to say something, but she died in the end. Perhaps before she died, she never thought that she would be able to have sex with Lin Ling. However, this step seemed close, but it was as far as the end of the world. Lin Ling glanced around and saw his clothes and 2 swords. His heart skipped a beat. Instantly, all his clothes floated over, and the 2 swords hung lightly on his back. Longyang, I've told you not to think too highly of yourself. He stepped out and walked towards the 3rd floor. At this moment on the 3rd floor, Longyang and the others were still drinking, quietly waiting for Lin Ling's miserable state. However, they were chatting and laughing at the beginning, but when they talked about everything about Lin Ling, their faces became serious. This Lin Ling is from the Azure State. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be so powerful. He has dominated the spirit state in such a short period of time. I couldn't believe it. Even now, I still can't believe it. That's right. I've seen countless geniuses, but this is the first time I've seen someone like Lin Ling. That's why I've always been curious as to why he has such power. Longyang, I reckon that he has a true backer, a powerful cultivator from above the spirit state. With the support of that powerful cultivator, he will naturally be able to do the impossible. You have a point. The 2 of them looked at each other. They both believed that Lin Ling had the support of a powerful cultivator. He's only relying on his backer's background. If we're comparing individuals, he can't compare to me at all. Dongmen Hong drank a mouthful of wine and consoled himself. Moreover, this consolation made him smile. Come, let's drink and wait. When Lin Ling appears again, he will become an ant-like existence like he was in his first life. Longyang also smiled gently and clinked her wine glass with Dongmen Hong's. Smack. However, at this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard. Then, a slender figure lifted the curtain and appeared before their eyes. This made Longyang and Dongmen Hong stop drinking. That's right. Give me a glass. The person said calmly. His expression was calm, and no one knew what he was thinking. At this moment, Dongmen Hong and the others frowned. They did not know if the Lin Ling in front of them was still the Lin Ling in his first life. Sure, but I want to ask why you want to drink. Dongmen Hong fiddled with the wine glass in his hand and suddenly laughed. Although Lin Ling had suddenly appeared, he believed that the current Lin Ling should be in his first or second life. Anyway, he was definitely an ordinary person, and was definitely not the Lin Ling of the past. After drinking, I'll kill you. However, Lin Ling's next sentence stunned Dongmen Hong and Longyang, and their hearts trembled. Kill them? Could it be that Lin Ling had returned? How could this be? That kind of divine poison was not something that ordinary people could detoxify. Are you Lin Ling or someone else? Longyang immediately acted as if she was facing a formidable enemy. I'm Lin Ling's previous life, Li Xiaoyao. Li Xiaoyao said. Lin Ling moved and sat down in front of Longyang and the others. Then he poured himself a glass of wine and drank. Previous life? Li Xiaoyao asked. Could it be that Lin Ling was also an expert in his previous life, and was even stronger than the current Lin Ling? Longyang and Dongmen Hong were shocked. They felt as if they had done something wrong. because they had awakened an existence that was even more terrifying than Lin Ling. Subconsciously, they looked at Lin Ling, but found that Lin Ling's eyes were half closed, and he was calmly tasting the wine. It was as if he was not worried even if the sky collapsed. Lin Ling, you're a genius of Tantric Buddhism, but do you want to know what I think about this? Do I believe you? Do I believe you? Longyang frowned and said lightly, so what if I believe you? So what if I believe you? Lin Ling smelled the wine in the glass and said to himself, I'm telling you, I don't believe you. I think that you didn't rely on yourself to become a genius. Longyang said through gritted teeth. Perhaps this was her opinion of Lin Ling. All this time, not only had she been jealous of Lin Ling, but she had also been disdainful of Lin Ling. She felt that Lin Ling was only so dazzling because he was favored by Xing Shiyun. However, she was rational. She knew that there was no such thing as reaching the heavens in a single step on the path of martial arts. Lin Ling could only be said to be lucky. Speaking of this, Dongmen Hong was even more dissatisfied. He was the second most talented genius of Tantric Buddhism, but he had lost to Lin Ling. Most importantly, he had never heard of Lin Ling's name in the beginning. Therefore, how could he be convinced? Lin Ling, what else do you have other than luck? Your talent is not as good as senior brother Dongmen's. Your cultivation time is not as long as his. And you don't have the arrogance that a martial artist should have. It's as if you don't care about anything in the spirit state. You lack the focus that a genius should have. You don't deserve to be called a genius. Lin Ling, if you didn't use sorcery, you wouldn't be my opponent at all with your own strength. How can you call yourself a genius? Dongmen Hong and Long Xiaoyao's voices became hysterical. Perhaps they had both been humiliated by Lin Ling before. One had been rejected in public, while the other had been defeated twice in public. They were not ordinary people, so how could they swallow this? Most importantly, Lin Ling had appeared out of nowhere, and had no previous achievements. Seeing a person they didn't know suddenly standing above their heads and humiliating them, it was easy to imagine the knot in their hearts that they suppressed in their hearts. However, Lin Ling was still drinking. Compared to their agitated expressions, he seemed very calm. He clearly did not want to explain anything. In terms of experience, talent, and achievements, Li Xiaoyao was indeed not famous in the spirit state. It was difficult for people to obey him. Chapter 3098. Why? Are you done? Stop. Finally, Lin Ling put down his cup and looked at Longyang calmly. Longyang, I told you that after drinking that cup of wine, you and I are strangers. I also told myself that I hope you don't think you're smart. Unfortunately, you did. Stop. He looked at Dongfang Hong. I defeated you twice in a row. You don't even know what kind of existence I am. And you dare to attack me for the third time. I said that after the third time, I will make your head roll on the ground like a gourd. Stop. I know that you're not willing to accept this, but I can tell you that my existence is something that you'll never be able to imagine. Stop. Since you're not convinced, then I, Lin Ling, will tell you what I rely on. Stop. Lin Ling stood up. The dragon god roared, and the true inheritance dark sword floated out. Calamity-destroying sun bow. Stop. The terrifying dragon bone bow appeared, and Lin Ling gently pulled it back. At this moment, it was as if he could kill the 9 states with an arrow. The scariest thing was that the true inheritance dark sword turned into an arrow, and was held in Lin Ling's hand. The sword was pointed at Dongmen Hong. The entire mountain peak instantly split open, and the ants collapsed. The plains of the spirit state also continued to tremble. This change made Longyang and Dongfang Hong's expressions change drastically, especially Dongmen Hong. He looked as if he was facing a great enemy. Last time, you said that I defeated you with my demonic arts. This time, I'll show you my true strength. Stop. Dongmen Hong, I'll give you 3 breaths time to prepare. After 3 breaths, I, Lin Ling, will take your head. Stop. His soft voice drifted out, but it carried a domineering aura. Come on, don't use your demonic arts. I think you, Lin Ling, are only SO. Stop. At this point, Dongmen Hong didn't hide his strength anymore. He unleashed his full strength, and a huge sacred mountain appeared in the sky. an ancient pagoda appeared, and his true god martial spirit exploded. Longyang was extremely nervous, but she believed that Lin Ling, who didn't use his demonic arts, was no match for Dongmen Hong. 3 breaths time. At the same time, Lin Ling let out a cold shout and drew his sword like a dragon god. Roar! On the plains of the spirit state, there were waves even though there was no wind. A dragon was roaring in the sky. Rumble! Dongmen Hong's talent was pierced through by the arrow. The 5th grade supreme artifact pagoda in the sky broke through the void. Even the true god martial spirit was unable to block it. Whoosh! The sword turned around and pierced through Dongmen Hong's head like a divine arrow, or a Buddha's bow. One-shot kill. Gulyalu. Dongmen Hong's head rolled on the ground. His eyes showed that he had died with a grievance. He was the second most powerful genius in Tantric Buddhism, yet he was killed by a single shot. This was an outcome that he never expected. Perhaps before he died, he only knew that when Lin Ling attacked for the 3rd time, his head would roll on the ground like a gourd. After killing Dongmen Hong with ease, Lin Ling waved his right hand, and the dragon bow disappeared. He placed his hands behind his back and looked at Longyang calmly. Now you should know that the reason why I was valued by Tantric Buddhism was not because of my relationship with my master, but because I have the potential to rule the 9 prefectures, as well as the speed of my growth that surpasses all the other monstrous geniuses. When these words reached Longyang's ears, her heart collapsed. In the past, when Lin Ling faced Dongmen Hong, he could only rely on his demonic arts. But today, when Lin Ling faced Dongmen Hong, he only needed 1 arrow. The entire process didn't even take 3 months. This increase in cultivation level, this increase in strength, was truly too terrifying. This made Longyang feel as though she had seen a god. Following that, endless regret filled her heart. She knew what kind of existence she had provoked. I thought I was clever. Longyang muttered to herself. If she had a choice, she might have used that cup of apology wine to sever ties with Lin Ling forever. Unfortunately, she did think she was clever. Lin Ling walked over expressionlessly. You should know that if you harm me, Lin Ling, there will only be one outcome. You can resist now, but I don't think it will be of much use. This sentence sounded like he was talking to a friend, but it was mixed with indifference. Plop. Longyang was so frightened that she fell to the ground, her beautiful face turning pale. Although Lin Ling's words were arrogant, they also represented the truth. She couldn't resist Lin Ling. Lin Ling had already arrived in front of Longyang. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand. His eyes showed no mercy as he wanted to kill her. But at this moment, desire surged into his mind, causing his expression to change. Get lost. I, Li Xiaoyao, have dominated the 9 prefectures, and have been labeled as a monstrous genius. I can shock the heavens and the earth and make the gods cry. You want to control me with just a little poison. Sensing the terrifying desire, Lin Ling shouted angrily. However, his eyes gradually turned red as he stared at Longyang maliciously. Longyang's delicate body trembled as she subconsciously clasped her legs together. Longyang, get lost, Lin Ling shouted angrily again. He was using his strong willpower to resist the desire of the god. However, this resistance was also gradually weakening. What made Lin Ling angry was that Longyang was scared silly and didn't leave. Wasn't she forcing Lin Ling to leave? No, don't. Longyang's eyes were already wet. She knew what was going to happen next. This was definitely the effect of the poison. She began to cry like a little girl. However, Lin Ling had already rushed over. What followed was a series of cries and moans. Lin Ling, don't. Longyang's voice also gradually weakened. I will haunt you even if I become a ghost. She cultivated a taboo technique and had to maintain her virginity. However, today, all her previous efforts had gone to waste. Ultimate desolate body. You are cultivating the ultimate desolate body. Is this your secret? At this moment, Lin Ling said as he looked at the powerless beauty beneath him after a round of passion. Lin Ling, I won't let you off. Longyang's body was extremely weak, but her voice was filled with hatred. This is all because you thought you were smart. Upon hearing this, Lin Ling sneered. If not for Longyang harming him, Longyang wouldn't have ended up in such a state. Furthermore, Lin Ling had resisted his desire with his willpower. At that time, Longyang should have left immediately. If she stayed, and with the body of the #1 beauty of Tantric Buddhism, how could Lin Ling, who was overwhelmed by desire, resist? Since you won't let me off, I'll eliminate you by the roots. Lin Ling's eyes turned even colder. His principle was to treat others the way they treated him. He would not show mercy just because the other party was a beauty. His palm crazily grabbed Longyang's abdomen, causing Longyang to let out a painful cry. In her smooth abdomen, a jade-white bone was pulled out by Lin Ling. My ultimate desolate body, Longyang cried out in pain, as if she had encountered the most terrifying ordeal in her life. Furthermore, her painful voice sounded like she was about to cry. However, Lin Ling ignored her. When the jade-white bone was pulled out, a massive force exploded, sending Lin Ling flying. Lin Ling, the next time we meet, I'll definitely kill you. Longyang's hair was disheveled. Using the explosive force, she ran into the distance. However, that voice was filled with hatred. It made one tremble in fear. And this was clearly a warrior's blood oath. Trying to escape? Lin Ling knew that if he allowed Longyang to escape, there would be no end of trouble. Therefore, he immediately chased after her. Chapter 3099. Azure Dragon Hall Saint. Following that, a golden light shone in the sky, and a tall and sturdy old man with long golden hair appeared in the sky. He looked down at Lin Ling like a god. What was shocking was that the lower half of this old man's body was a huge snake tail, and his entire body was covered in golden scales. Scram! Lin Ling also saw that the person's cultivation was at the sage realm, and the sage light was extremely rich. But now, he couldn't care less because Longyang was running further and further away. And that was indeed the case. Longyang's clothes were disheveled and her delicate little face was filled with resentment. She was quickly disappearing into the sky. Today, the reason she had invited Lin Ling here was because of Lin Ling's dragon bones. Those dragon bones could rapidly increase her talent. Of course, she was a rational person. She had thought about this for a long time before she made this decision. In the end, she decided that if Lin Ling died, Xing Xiuyin might be furious. However, as long as she unleashed her outstanding potential, Xing Xiuyin would not dare to do anything to her. However, no matter how much she thought about it, she would never have thought that Lin Ling's past life was so terrifying. Not only did he cure her poison, he even broke through his realm in a short period of time. Who are you? How dare you speak to a saint like this? Saint, allow me to kill him and restore peace to the spirit province. At this moment, the clouds in the sky were torn apart, and a young man dressed like a child appeared, glaring angrily at Lin Ling. As far as he was concerned, the young man before him had simply rebelled because he actually dared to speak to a saint of the Azure Dragon Hall in such a tone. Lin Ling kept staring into the distance. Finally, when he saw that Longyang had completely disappeared, his expression became even colder. I am Lin Ling, the person who will kill you. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand. Lin Ling looked at the boy in the sky and slashed out. 30% of the demon sword step, in addition to the fusion of the 4 great dantians, attacked crazily. Previously, Lin Ling had been able to kill Dongmen Hong with the help of the calamity-destroying Sunbao because his cultivation had improved to the 8th layer martial immortal realm. Therefore, the power of this sword strike was even sharper than before. What arrogance! The boy didn't expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant, daring to kill him in front of a saint. He also used his full strength, since he was able to become a servant of the Azure Dragon Hall. His strength was naturally not to be underestimated. He was a first-layer half-saint. Unfortunately, this strength was simply not enough to look at Lin Ling. Quasi, be careful. The old man didn't care at first, but his expression suddenly changed, because he felt that sword strike was extremely sharp. Lin Ling? You're Lin Ling from Tantra. He could lay down his own barrier, and break the barrier with a barrier. Even so, it was still an eye-opener for Lin Ling. He was amazed by the natural enchantment of chaos around the universe. Time quietly passed just like that. 10 days later, Lin Ling had already cracked the third ring. The spiritual energy here was as dense as water, and it was the most ancient spiritual energy in the universe. This made Sakura and company overjoyed as they entered the place to cultivate. At the same time, Lin Ling also injected the clean bone he had obtained from Longyang into Yu Yu's body. And this ultimate desolate body was possessed by the dragon race's god. It was also known as the ultimate dragon god. And this was the skeleton of the dragon god of light. At the same time, Lin Ling was also shocked by the ancient power of the god. Things from the era of the gods contain the most ancient power of the universe's chaos. It was not something that the martial arts of the present could resist. This power contained the universe's origins and laws. It was the lord of all things and worlds. After the dragon bone was completely injected, Lin Ling also began to cultivate. He knew that when Yu Yu woke up, Yu Yu would definitely be reborn. There are so many cultivation resources. It actually has dragon whiskers and dragon claws. Lin Ling checked the cultivation resources and could not help but smile. Following that, he began to refine them. He had the dragon bone. If he added the dragon race's dragon god's item, then the dragon bone could be upgraded again. Moreover, there were many rare physical body cultivation items among the cultivation resources. Lin Ling also used them one by one to cultivate. This was also the most luxurious he had ever been since he started learning martial arts. Whatever he wanted, he had it. Moreover, Lin Ling sensed that the time was getting shorter and shorter. He might as well refine all the cultivation resources. This was cultivating all at once. The advantage was that if there was an external force, the domains would also completely erupt. Cultivating essence, energy, and spirit was absolutely an all-round improvement. The disadvantage was that the cultivation realm, at the beginning, was the same as before. Moreover, it would be difficult to familiarize oneself with one's strength. While Lin Ling allowed the cultivation resources to be refined, he was also comprehending martial arts. The first was the illusion god true inheritance. His soul force was slowly improving with the help of the cultivation resources. The ancient illusion god was also floating in his mind. In the illusory world, what was true was false, and what was false was true. In the illusory world, Lin Ling was like a god. Whatever he wanted, he had it. Time is getting shorter and shorter. Let's start cultivating the great calamity destroying Sun Bao. Her body glowed brightly like the goddess of light, but she was also protected by the dragon god. The dragon god roared at the sky and soared into the sky. The surrounding Jianshan finally managed to block the sword by a hair's breadth. This made Zhang Qinghong's expression change drastically. The third sword was not delivered in the end. I admit defeat. Following that, he turned and left. This also made the Xian sect's people change their expressions. Zhang Qinghong was the number 2 peerless genius. Now that he had lost, it was up to Xiang Anning. If Xiang Anning also lost, the Xian sect would lose today. This result had clearly exceeded their expectations. The tantric sect's side was undoubtedly invigorated. Cheers immediately sounded like waves. Good, 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 Chang Qingzi said with a red face. He was extremely excited. He looked at Yu Yu with admiration and longing in his eyes. Of course, he knew that Yu Yu was Lin Ling's woman, so he could only envy her secretly. He said with a sigh, the ultimate desolate body was actually the wife of an 8th-level martial immortal. She was not worthy at all. Although there are 5 battles, if Xiang Anning loses, the others will be useless. This means that the most crucial battle has arrived. Our tantric sect will win. Even the tantric sect's masters were extremely excited. Xiang Anning frowned as he looked at Yu Yu. His eyes were the same as Chang Qingzi's. There was longing in his eyes. He also thought to himself, such a beautiful goddess should be compatible with me, the number 1 genius of the spirit state. He walked out. He planned to use his strength to show Yu Yu, who was the number 1 genius of the spirit state. Yu Yu, admit defeat. You just obtained the ultimate desolate body, and are not familiar with it. You can't fight someone 4 stages above you. Just as everyone was filled with anticipation, Lin Ling's calm voice suddenly floated out. The tantric sect instantly panicked. The eyes of the tantric sex masters also turned red.